Hey, how's it going everyone? Welcome to the latest S.H. Monsterarts release, and that is Jet Jaguar 2021 from the, is it a hit series now? I'm not really sure. But anyway, the latest anime series from Godzilla, and that is Godzilla SP Singular Point, came out last year. If you haven't watched it, I do recommend watching it. It's cool. If you love sci-fi, you'll love it. If you love crazy, wacky, in-depth maths that goes way over your head in physics, you'll love it. If you just want to see monsters smack themselves, you'll love it. And it's just a fun watch. I started off with it just in the background. I didn't pay too much attention, and I still thoroughly enjoyed it and kind of got hooked, kind of paying more attention to it as the show progressed. And I'm definitely loving the figures from it. So we have had Godzilla Ultima himself already. He is a behemoth of a figure with a fantastic tail. And yeah, so now we've got Jet Jaguar who goes up against him. And yeah, got a pretty good assortment of accessories. And yeah, I'm pretty excited to get him out. I was actually surprised at how small this box was. I was expecting something a bit bigger. But they've managed to fit quite a lot in here. Now for Japan, this is a Tamashii Web exclusive, so we do have that logo there. Which means it was only available from Premium Bundle in Japan. However, in other regions, here is probably just a standard retail release. Yeah, box, nice assortment of images as usual. Pretty cool design. It's got that whole, what was it, kind of mistiness from the show theme for it, which is really nice. But anyway, let's just pop him open and see what he looks like. Okay, here we go. As I mentioned, he packs a lot in here. So we've got Jet Jaguar himself at the back, and over top him he has his jetpack. It kind of reminds me of those, is it Osprey helicopters? Which has the rotors that swivel and take off from the standstill, which is pretty cool. And then he has his axe, which is two parts, the blade and then the pole, and these parts will connect. It makes it a bit easier to connect it with the hands down below, which we have. He's got the backpack, the pilot, and the seat. Though it isn't coloured, if you are a pro at painting miniatures, it is something extra for you to do. So yeah, overall, not bad. It is always cool to get accessories with a Monsterarts, since normally they don't have many. Anyway, let's pop him out and get a close look at his finish. Okay, we've got him out of his box, swiveling around now, and he does have these extra bars on his back which pop off, so you can attach his jetpack, and on those bars you can attach his box as well. So it's pretty nice. You can kind of interchange everything without leaving any big gaps. On the front we do have some nice weathering for some rust marks down his seams there. He's got nice wires. The top part up here is actually a soft rubber which does move with his arm, which is pretty cool. He has quite a bit more articulation than what I expected, and the colouring is nicer as well. From the official images, it kind of looked like it was kind of basic white plastic, but it's not quite. It's kind of off-white colour. Kind of reminds me of those 90s TV remotes, I guess, or like the portable phones. They'd always be that kind of creamy off-white colour. So it kind of has that look, which actually looks really nice, especially contrast to the red and yellow parts. And same for the jetpack as well. Now the articulation of the pack and so forth we'll go over a little bit later. But I do want to bring attention to his wicked weapon, which has some lovely details. Actually got some texture in there. The wrapping around's nice, and the paint job is good too with that whole swirl. And his, I guess the handle part is fully textured, and yeah, it's really nice. Just pops in and out easily. So you can slot this through a hand and then put on the blade, and then he'll be fully attached to his body. It is pretty top heavy, so you do have to kind of get him into the right pose to hold it. But yeah, overall not too bad. For the articulation, I do want to start with his jetpack, and also I don't believe I mentioned, but it does come with the stand to hold him up while he has this on, which is quite nice. Now the jetpack itself, the whole arm part swivels around. You've got some tilt up and down, and then the flaps as well. So yeah, nice amount of articulation just in this one accessory, which is really cool. The blades spin really well. So yeah, I think if you get creative, you can make some really cool photos with this actually. I'm quite looking forward to doing that when I get some extra time. So jumping onto the body itself, his head has some nice tilt action. You can go forward and back a little bit. Yeah, actually a lot better than I expected. It kind of reminds me of a mechanical S.H figure arts, opposed to a Monsterarts actually, because he does have that kind of bit more of a humanoid shape and a decent amount of articulation, which is really nice to see. For the shoulders, again, these go up and down, not too far, but decent amount, at least enough for what we need, and his arm will swivel as well on that joint. The inner part will swivel as well, and that is kind of held in place by the rubber because it is that rectangle shape. But I like the texture of that, it feels really nice. It helps kind of break up the basic plastic look and feel. Now his arms are a weird shape, they do swivel. I think these pop off. Yeah, that pops off. But these will swivel around, and you have a joint with a rubber there as well. So when everything moves, it just looks really nice. You can swivel that around extremely far. Yeah, it's just really fun. Lots of points where it can move. So you do need to spend a little bit of time to get into the right pose, but you do have those options there if you have the patience. Now down to his torso here, might be a little bit hard to see, but there is that circle on the inside, so that will tilt forward and back, and you can swivel on that point as well. The legs up and down, I mean, yeah, everything's really nice. It's a weird design, but everything seems to work pretty well so far. Again, for the knees, decent range, though the shock absorber will get in the way a little bit, but you can go up decently far. The feet itself, yeah, you have that full joint, so you can go in and out, which is nice, and there's toe and heel are separate, so you can move everything up and down independently. So yeah, again, really nice range for articulation. Probably take a while to get into the right pose you need, but again, if you have the patience, you can get into some pretty cool poses. So I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone can do online. He'll be posting photos on Insta and so forth. So yeah, if you make a cool photo, definitely do tag me, so I can check it out. Oh, that reminds me, I recently updated Rockchala.com recently. It previously used to focus on Dragon Ball SH figures, but now there is a Monsterarts section as well, and you can make your own checklist. You can check out information for every figure released, and for the figures that I at least own, 360 images, a section of images of poses as well. And for the figures that I don't own, if you do have them and you want to help out, I would definitely love those images add on there. You can also drop your own review, which will help new collectors who are looking to pick up some of the older figures. Anyway, there's a link for that down below. Please check it out and share it around. More we can spread the word, more we can help in the community, which would be excellent. Jumping into the accessories now, his hands just easily slot off. So you've got the open hand ones, then you've got the single finger pointing out one, which I have no idea what these are for. So there's one for each hand, and then there is also a gripping one as well. Again, I don't really know what this weird hand is for. If you have any ideas, please do let me know. But this one here is for holding his wicked pole arm. So let's pop that on now. So just pop that the pole off of the blade, and then line up the gap. So yeah, that's looking really good. As I mentioned earlier, it's very top heavy, so maybe you can use this hand like this to kind of hold onto it. But I do have a selection of photos on, there'll be some at the end of this video, Rockchala, as I mentioned earlier, and also on Instagram if you want to check him out in some poses with his weapon. On the back here, as I mentioned earlier, he has parts that pop off, so there's this section which will come off, and that allows you to slot in his pilot seat. So there we go. Yeah, that seat's looking really nice. It's got the dual tone colour, and there is a little bit peg in the bottom, so you can slot in the pilot. I forgot his name from the show, so if you do remember, drop that comment down below. I'm telling everyone the name of the main character. It's the guy that looks like Gintama. So that's him there with his gas mask on. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing some painted versions of him from the community. So yeah, again, if you do that, please do tag me. It'll be cool to see. He can also fit his jetpack on there while he is seated. So these back frame parts pop off. There you go, that just slots on like so. And then the pilot, he is a little bit fiddly, but you can get that in there. So yeah, that is pretty cool. The stand is a slightly weird height. I'm not sure if it's designed to hold him while flying. It'd be quite cool if there's some options for a shorter and a taller one. But overall, Jet Jaguar looks awesome with the jetpack on, so we can tilt these up. Sound like as he's flying. So yeah, lots of cool pose options. Though pretty fiddly and kind of a weird weight distribution, so using the stand is helpful. I think there's also a point underneath, so I think we can slot it on there. Yeah, there we go, that's pretty cool. Maybe zoom out a bit. Okay, there we go. So the stand will attach directly underneath him or into the back of the jetpack. So that's pretty cool if you want a mid-air pose. Though it's not really stable, so I wouldn't trust it in an earthquake or long term. Maybe get a more, I guess, Tamashi act stand, and maybe better for a long term posing, especially if you want them in a flying position. One more attention to the detail, which is cool. His antennas here actually detach. It's quite fiddly, but you can remove them. Don't want to break it since it's quite delicate, but yeah, that will pop. There we go. Fix the focus. They will pop right out, and then you can attach ones which are not attached to his head, but they actually poke out. Let's try and get that in there. These are quite delicate, so be careful when you do switch them on and off. Okay, I've switched both of them on and off now, and yeah, I think that looks really cool. Does give it a slightly more kind of menacing look actually, with them out. It's going like he's in attack mode. I don't remember when these come out in the series. If you do remember, drop a comment below. But yeah, I think that looks really cool. Okay, so we've got Godzilla Ultima here, out for a bit of a size comparison with the Jet Jaguar. And I think yeah, they match up pretty well. Without getting too spoiler-y, yeah, the size of Jet Jaguar is a little bit different at times. So I think considering S.H Monsterarts generally aren't the best scaled for everything, these two do work pretty well together. I'm looking forward to getting them into some pretty dynamic posing, maybe having Jet Jaguar stabbing old Godzilla Ultima here, trying to get some cool photos like that in the near future when I have a bit more time. But on the shelf at least, I think both these will look really badass together, and I'm looking forward to Rodan, who I think is coming in about 2 months time actually. So yeah, that would be really nice to see, and it would be cool if we get some more releases for the SP series, especially leading up to hopefully a season 2 soon. I'm not sure if they've announced a date yet or not, but that should be pretty cool when they do release it. So let's jump into the pros and cons. I think a lot of pros for this figure. It's actually better than what I was expecting. I wasn't super hyped for this figure. Not really sure why. I think it's just because his design is pretty simple, but I think the figure really does bring out those little subtle differences in his design and the detailing really well, especially the nice rubber area on his shoulder and in his elbow joints there is really nice. The weathering on his head and chest is nice, the red, and that I actually was expecting to be more of a white, pretty basic plastic colour, but no, it's actually a really nice, as I mentioned earlier, it kind of reminds me of those old 90s TV remotes or mobile phone, slightly off-white, beigey plastic colour. I think it actually looks really nice. It really does bring forward that electronics, that kind of mechanical feel, which I think is pretty cool for, well, a robotic monster. Where his joints and feet all move, the springs, the extra wire, all this little detailing is really nice, and how his backpack will pop off. You can attach the his helicopter flight accessory, and also the pilot seat as well. So all those little bit attachments and details is really nice. The paint job, the wrapping, and the texture on his polearm is really cool as well. And same for his face. I think, yeah, a lot of really good positives for this figure. Cons, I don't really have anything except for he's quite fiddly. Maybe a better stand would have been good. Adjustable one for his jetpack, so you can get him up into a more dynamic pose easily. He is a little bit fiddly to pose, especially with the weapon, so maybe a extra special stand for that could have been quite good as well for long-term posing. But yeah, actually no real cons that I can think of so far. If there's anything I do come up with later, I will definitely drop a comment below. But yeah, actually a really solid figure, represents the series nicely and pairs up well with Ultima. As I mentioned, definitely looking forward to Rodan coming out soon. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think about this release so far, if you get him, if you passed, and why. And if you get him as well, drop your thoughts below and jump on Rockchala as well, where you can do your own review for this figure. Definitely help out new and old collectors alike, which is great. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, cheers!